If you're a personal brand or founder-led business owner and you sell things like coaching, courses, memberships, schools, digital products, or software, and you want to grow your business with ads, then this video is for you. My name is Evelyn Weiss. I've grown my own online business to over 8 million in sales, over 33,000 paid subscribers, 61,000 customers, and I have spent millions on ads for myself and my clients. I've been running Facebook ads over a decade and scaled accounts to as high of a monthly spend as $500,000. And in this video, I want to share with you the 5 things that I believe you need if you want to run ads profitably. All right, so the first thing you've probably heard a ton, but I want to add some nuance. So you need an offer. First and foremost, it all comes down to the offer. And the offer consists of more than just what we put in front of the customer. It's kind of a backwards chain, and this is how my business came to be, is actually that when you are an advertiser, right? So I did run ads for others before I ran ads for my own personal brand. When you run ads for someone, there's only so much you can do if you don't have any influence over offer and product development, right? So often we would back integrate and we would have some influence over what is the offer that we can make on the ads. But because fundamentally it has limits as in what you can offer if you don't adjust parts of the core product and the deliverables, there was always a ceiling as into what we can do with the ads. Advertisers will tell you that the best ad in the world cannot out-optimize or outsell a weak offer, and I 100% agree with this. If you have a great offer, you get away with like not nice looking ad, not nice looking landing page. People just want what you have to offer, right? So it's the core, it's the most important thing. And often to really make a compelling offer, we have to back integrate even more into the product, right? So the product needs to have true product to market fit, and ultimately it needs to be excellent to scale. Because while we can sell something that has product to market fit, as in people just want it initially in high volume, but then if we don't generate the positive market feedback and reviews and testimonials that back up the sales, will eventually dry out, right? So a big piece of you understanding how to run profitable ads is you critically looking at your product and the offers that you can make for that. If you are a personal brand, right, and you are product owner as well, which means you create your digital products, your courses, your membership, your school, then for you it might be relatively easy to make these adjustments. And in that sense, ads are your best tool to gather that market feedback, to know how to optimize your product. And for you, it might even get a step deeper, as in, are you the person yet to create that product? Have you lived the experience? Have you helped enough people? Are you able to drive results consistently, right? Are you making the right type of promises that are sustainable for you? For you, it's a job to look at the ads, how they perform, and look critically at your offer and say, okay, am I promising the right thing? Right? Can I even promise this? Or do I need to go back to my product and make the adjustments? Or can I not even make the adjustments on my product because I first have to live the experience? This is the whole thing. I'm known for, one of my memberships was all about monetizing your personal growth journey, still is. And I keep coming back to it because who you are will so fundamentally in this area, right? When you are a personal brand, influence how you can build your product, how they are received, how your brand will lift the product, ultimately what offers you can make with credibility, right? And what promises you can make that you can actually deliver on. And I can just not overstate the importance of this, right? So that's the key if you are a personal brand. And if you are a founder-led business owner, right? And you, for example, you have a software product, etc. It also goes back into that product quality and into the delivery. So for example, I run ads for Skool at the moment, which is an online platform and SaaS product. And it's easy to run the ads for them, not because I'm the best advertiser in the world. It's because it's an amazing product, right? And they spend years and astronomical amounts of money to make it an incredible product. So the offer there is a 14-day free trial, and I have an easy time with this offer because the product is so good and the proof around the excellence of the product is all the way out there. So if, you start to run your ads and it doesn't click, you need to have that critical view on at your offer. And when it comes to your offer, you want to think as in, the core product that you develop. Is it actually solving a product? Is it actually solving a problem? Is it what people want and need? Do you have it packaged right, attractively? Do you need to still gather some experience so you can create it? So for me, those are the core skills of every great advertiser in the space of personal brand and founder-led business, is that you are actually also an excellent product and offer creator. And because very often you are part of the product, there's a part of personal development that has to go into that. And that is your core chore. Without a focus on that, you could scale ads if you're making, claims that aren't there, but then eventually it will crack down. So it doesn't have any longevity. So I really want you, if you want to run profitable, scalable ads for the long term, I need you to get in that mindset of, I am product owner, I am product and offer developer, and one of my core chores to make ads work and make my whole business work is to focus on that product and offer and personal development. How do we, second thing, even get to that point of, this is where I stand with my offer? The second thing I believe you need with your ads is a heartbeat. Baseline spend that you put out there on your offer to keep getting data back from the market so you can validate or iterate, right? So what I will do is I will put out an ad, and I'm going to show you an example here. So here is one of our products is a PLR membership. And for our core product, which is great and people love it, and we see it in the churn and in the feedback that we get, we frequently put out new front-end offers, right? So while we're running ads directly to the PLR membership, what you see here, we also put out front-end offers that lead into the PLR membership, right? So we have different funnels leading into our product, different offers powering different funnels leading into our product. And here you can see a typical ad that is just validating my offer. So here you can see this is as descriptive as it gets. The completely done for you executive functioning coaching bundle. This is what it is. It's a product title, right? Rather than any sort of, marketing it. And then we have a mock-up of everything that they get. Now, when you read through this, here it's purely explaining what the offer is. Executive functioning coaching helps people build critical life skills like organization, self-regulation, etc. Now you can support your clients with tools you need, done for you, fully editable, and ready to sell. So introducing this done for you bundle. Here's what's included. Here are the features of it. Who is it for? Get it here now for $9. And here also the price is on here, right? So this is really just explaining what this thing is and exactly what they're getting, and then leading to the sales page of this offer where we also reiterate, what they get in here, and then we break it down, right? So we show as much as we can from the offer, from the inside on the sales page. Now this is typically a first type of validation ad that I run for anything. I just want us to have a heartbeat with our ads. And the first thing is that we're looking at the offer and we're putting it out as non-hypey, non-framed as possible, just like this is the thing. And if you cannot get to a point of daily sales with an ad that's this is the thing, then you have a problem. Okay, so I will typically do this with an image ad because I want it to be simple and quick. You can also do this with a video ad, but then just make sure that it's very much explaining what it is. I want to show you an example for that. So I do have other digital products for my other memberships, and one of them that I shared was actually just a Loom video. In this community, I created an option offer, which is a dashboard for how to use ChatGPT for self-discipline coaching. So it's basically helping you to identify what lack of skill caused your breakdown in willpower, and then you can go in and acquire that skill quickly, right? So it's like a guided process that will allow you to see what primary skill are you lacking, and then it teaches you what the skill is, and it gives you a training and a daily practice, basically, so you can acquire that skill. Now, my first ad was basically this Loom video that is, I think, 5 minutes long. 5 minutes 47. Just explaining what it is, walking through, right? And then again, the text very similar to here, like, hey, this is what I built. Do you want it? You get it inside my $7 community, and it's sold. If the first ad for your offer cannot generate sales with the simple markup or a simple loom explaining what you do, then your offer needs to be improved. When I improved my school community and it became Grow with Evelyn, the about page video of that community was my most successful ad. And one of the reasons why it was the most successful ad was because my members left comments about their experience under that ad. So it was, going a step back, the product development and how I had served them influenced how the ad performs. Right? And so that's why it went like very, very far in its scale. But even without those initial comments, it started to get sales. If your ad is this descriptive and simple and you can get daily sales, then you are onto something. Then your offer has a heartbeat, right? So patient is not dead. If that's not the case, then I don't even waste my time or money trying to optimize the ad. I'll scratch everything, I'll turn it off, and I make a new hypothesis about how I either need to massively, radically iterate my offer, because very often it's not the small tweaks, right? The small tweaks you can even test in your ad if you want to. If your offer flops like this, it's typically big strides that are off, right? So it's either a bigger shift that you need to make in it, a complete repositioning, or you're just better off going with a different offer hypothesis. Don't even waste your time if you cannot get a heartbeat. Assuming that your offer is good enough to get a heartbeat, how do you do this? Like, what else do you need to generate a heartbeat? It is, you need to have a basic understanding of meta ads. And I'm going to give it to you right now. Okay, so first things first, you need to select the right campaign objective. For a front-end offer like the ones I just showed you, which are called self-liquidating offers or mini offers, you need a sales campaign optimizing for purchase. And I want you to select an ASC campaign, which is Advantage Shopping Campaign. Facebook does everything for you. You don't even need to put the targeting. Let me give you an example. One of my mastermind members, we had an offer from her and we were generating sales for that offer with markup ads, but it was not fully clicking. And I told her I would like you to make a video about that offer explaining it. And the video clicked, right? So we had the video in there. Now her offer is targeting midlife women who want to lose weight. I still use an ASC campaign that's completely open, meaning it can also target men. It does not matter. It does not matter because the video explains the offer well enough. We lead them not even to a sales page, directly into a checkout, and it converts and gets daily sales, and there's great heartbeat. Because in the video, she was able to explain it well. Part of that is that her personality, again, going back to you are such a big part of the offer, is shining through in that video. And that just made it click for people. And now they're buying consistently from a sales campaign optimizing for purchase in an Advantage Plus shopping campaign setup, which means you let Facebook do everything, right? And I know I'm an old school advertiser as well. So for a long time, I wanted to have control over these things until I understood that the offer and the creatives, the ads that I make are my control. So now I even see it if I have to put a targeting, if I have to put lookalike audiences for the offer to get a heartbeat, to get sales daily, it's not good enough. Or we have not explained it well enough in the ad, right? So first go with the image ad and give it another shot with the video ad. Given you have the right campaign objective, you should have a heartbeat, or you go and iterate the offer. Now, some of you have different funnels where we're not going for a sales objective, right? So you don't have a self-liquidating offer funnel. So what else could you have? You could have a tripwire funnel. So you could have people opting in, and then on the thank you page, you invite them to a call or you have them purchase something. Whenever you have them purchase something, right, credit card is entered, sales campaign optimizing for purchase. Whenever that's not the case, very likely you are optimizing for a call, right? So when you're optimizing for a call, I highly recommend that you set up a custom conversion based on the conversion event you get back from Calendly. I have a video about how to set up your call ads on the channel, and we're going to make sure to link it somewhere here. Here, it's still a sales campaign. You're just optimizing for that custom conversion of invitee meeting scheduled from Calendly to get people on that call. And those are the two main funnels, really, how people are driving direct response sales online, right? So they either sell something directly and upgrade from there, or they get people on a call and sell from there. The third way, what I like to use is a workshop funnel or masterclass funnel. So where we have people opting in to a lead form. From there, we send them to long form content. And then we have a monthly conversion event like a masterclass or a workshop or a challenge. And we convert people from there. That's a longer funnel for you to optimize, right? And there it will be a little bit more difficult for you to establish a heartbeat, because while you can have your heartbeat of daily leads, you need to see it through for a month to eventually sell from there. The upside of this, and why I really like it for people that are kind of newer to the space, is that you are building your email list and audience along the way while you're working towards that conversion event. That conversion event can be one of the easiest ways to get your first sales online, because you have all of that nurture happen in between and you have that connection happening, that time spent with you. So it's a easier way to get your first sales and build your audience while you're still trying to figure out what's working. Because there's a catch-22 to when you're just starting out with the ads, which is that you need an audience and people to optimize your offer and your product and yourself. Because when you do it in isolation, you're still just throwing not even spaghetti on the wall. You're throwing spaghetti into the void. You can't even see them sliding down. Like, you have no idea what you're doing, right? So you need to do it in a market setting for people where you can see what you do and how you need to show up to be valuable. And it's not going to happen in isolation. So you need to be at that point where you're building an audience and ideally setting yourself up for monetization, even if your product or offer doesn't have product to market fit. And you kind of have to take advantage of reciprocity and relationship building. You have given all of this value and they experienced you. So now they trust you. So now they move forward with your offer, even though it might not be something you could ever sell to a cold audience. So when you're in that smushy kind of state where you don't have an audience and you don't have the offer and you have absolutely nothing, you need to find a way to build audience and monetize early. That's my journey when I built my personal brand. What I did was I ran a Facebook lead generation campaign to grow my email list with a strategic tangible freebie and Facebook group at the same time. I was going live once a week in that Facebook group. I would offer tremendous amount of value. I would hop on free calls with people, help them with their ads for just, post please in the group that this was great. So I started to gather people, get them towards me so I could understand what's valuable. And at the end of the month, when I had grown my group to 1,000 people, I was making an offer, a one-to-one coaching offer, right? And that was good enough to get me to 10K in that first month. Obviously, then I had to deliver on it, right? And it was a lot of work because I sold a one-to-one package for 3 months for $9.97. And for the astronomical amount of work that I did, that was not much, but I also was not worth more at that time, because I did not have that experience of working with people in that setting, right? So back integrating from just being an advertiser to being somebody who helps with personal branding, who helps with offer creation. So it was very justified. I just was not worth more at that point in time. So if you are completely starting out, your ad game in the beginning should very much be a game of audience building. And I recently demonstrated this, and we're going to show the other video where I shared how I grew a paid school community from scratch. How I made my first $1,000 with zero audience on Skool, new community. This is where I basically show exactly how I built my audience from scratch and monetized it. And that community, by the way, it's the one that you also saw with the will, that is now at $3,827 monthly recurring revenue and 624 paying members. So in the beginning here, my goal was just to validate my idea of the community with ads to a free community. And that's a sales campaign, again, optimizing for complete registration in this case, because I did it for school. And then once I had enough people in and I had confidence around how I can help them and who do I need to be and how does this need to be positioned, I turned it paid and ran ads, sales campaign optimizing for purchase directly to it. So that was the journey, but I first had to validate this is what I'm gathering people for, right? So the first version of the offer and myself in that context. And then once I saw, okay, this is now a product that is valuable enough that I can charge for it, then I turned it paid. So again, I first built the audience. I first gathered people that I could show up for and learn from what they need from me in order to make this valuable for them. And you can do this with the Skool community. I highly recommend it. As you know, I'm running ads for Skool. I'm invested. I'm a big fan. And they have a hobby plan below. So we're going to put an affiliate link. It's a great way to build audience for this business. I tested, is it more profitable if I build an email list and then launch into it? Or is it more profitable if I just grow the Skool group directly? And this was the first time that I got cheaper cost running ads directly to the Skool community in the sales campaign objective rather than in the lead campaign objective with the lead form. So I didn't even bother, and up until this day, this does not have an active email list that I use. So just the Skool building was my audience building. If you are not on Skool, the second best way is to do the lead campaign objective and to grow your email list, and then to have conversations with people on the email list and fill them in from there, send them to social media. Ideally, I would recommend, if you do nothing else, it's YouTube long form content. And then you have your audience from there with which you can communicate, right? So it's that catch-22. If you are in a place where you don't have an audience and you think ads are your way out, but you also can't build a good offer because you don't have an audience, then you need to build that audience. And it's either with lead generation campaigns that build your email list where you can nurture with long form YouTube, and then you convert towards the end of the month with a conversion event like a workshop, masterclass, or challenge, or you grow a free Skool community that you eventually turn paid. And those are lead campaign objective with instant form if you do the email list and long form YouTube nurture part and then launching into an offer if you don't want to have a community. And if you want to have a community, it's sales optimizing for complete registration until you make it paid, when you're not optimized for complete registration anymore, but for sales, right? So those are the basic functionalities that you need to know about the ads. And then there's one more thing that you need to have heard of before, which is, and you forget about audiences and targeting. And so you don't need any of that. You need the actual offer, which is the base for your ad visual, which is either a mock-up or a video where you just simply explain it, like you saw me doing this with Loom, right? Or you can also just hold your phone and explain what it is. And a very, very simple copy, like I just showed you before, just the hook that explains what this is, with more context, break down exactly what they get, name your price, link to the page, boom, that's it. In many cases, if you get this right, you can just directly link them to a very short form page that's just a checkout, right? If you want to optimize it, you can take it a step further from there, right? So you don't need to do anything else there on the creative side. Other than the creative, you need to know your campaign objectives. That's really important. For any campaign objective these days, I recommend you just go with Facebook's Advantage Plus features. Don't worry about placements. Don't worry about audiences. Just get it right if you're optimizing for leads or sales. And then when you're optimizing for sales, what's the sub-optimization event? Is it purchase? Is it invite meeting schedule? Or is it complete registration? You're doing that on the ad set level. And then you are almost good to go. The only last thing you need to know is tracking. When you're doing the lead campaign objective and you're using instant forms, which is the only way I recommend setting it up, then Facebook does all of the tracking for you, right? If you are not doing that, then you need to set up your conversion event. If it is for purchase and you're using a funnel, you need to set that up on your funnel. If you have it on Skool, you need to integrate Skool's conversion API, which is super simple, and I have a video about that. I also have a video for funnel. I think that's the WordPress Pixel one. And then invite meeting schedule is an integration you make in Calendly. Integration sounds complicated, but you only have to put your Facebook pixel there. And if it's complete registration, again, that's just a Skool API. So it's really, really simple to set up. So that's the only thing you need to know, is like you need to set up your conversion tracking if you're using a sales campaign objective. And you can always Google this, right? So you can say, for example, you're using Kajabi, how to set up Facebook conversion tracking on Kajabi. And there will be a gazillion YouTube videos teaching you that. Typically they're under 10 minutes and you're done. But you have to do it, because otherwise your campaign just goes into empty space and it does not know if what it was supposed to do was working. Data doesn't go back in your account and nothing is happening. That's the foundation that you need for the heartbeat. And the heartbeat will come once you have validated and optimized your offer to a point where there is a baseline of interest. And the heartbeat means you are getting sales daily. For you to also be able to get sales daily, you need to set the right budget that this can happen. And what I recommend is the right budget is 1 to 3 times the cost per result that you're aiming for if you're going for a call, or the cost of the offer that you have, right? So you saw the offer that I had was a $9 executive functioning bundle. So I will set my campaign to $18 to $27, anywhere there, right? And then that should allow me to get at least 1 sale daily. And from there, I can start to increase my spend so I get more daily sales. And then I have a consistent heartbeat, right? So we want to see multiple daily sales coming in. So we have a heartbeat, our campaign doesn't run dry, and that means our offer is good enough to put more time and effort into it. Beyond the offer and the heartbeat, you need to understand economics, okay? So there is the basic, like we need to spend, a certain amount. So at least 2 times cost per result that we want to have, or at least 2 to 3 times the cost of the front end offer in order to get those daily sales, right? So when I say cost per result goal, how do we know that? We know that because we need to think about the economics of our ads and of our offers. Now, what does that mean? So when I have this $9 product, most people, and I think it's incredible, think that you should get a cost per purchase, cost per result, of under $9 in order to be profitable. Well, that's not quite how it works. Advertising is competitive and it is expensive. And how you need to think about this is you need to increase your average order value and customer lifetime value so that you can afford to run ads. What's the average order value? That is how much the customer spends on average in this first sitting of checking out with you. So for example, the funnel flow of this $9 offer is, there's the $9 offer, there's a $37 order bump. So let me show you this. An order bump is an additional offer in the checkout, right? So most infopreneurs will have this. If you're on Skool, you don't have this, but the way to increase your average order value is to give an annual price. So here you can add an annual price, and I recommend making this a steep discount. So you can see my monthly was $7, and then when I put monthly and annual and I did $49 for the year, that's a 40% discount. And this is why every third person is taking this and why I have a higher average order value, so I can afford to keep growing that audience because I'm breaking even right away. So the annual plan is your number one go-to to increase average order value on Skool. In a funnel setting, you have more options, right? Because I can add this here to the checkout, and then the way we have laid this out is that after they add, and so here you can see by the stats, by the way, our average order value. So here you can see on average, people spend $20, not $9 in this funnel with us. And here you see after they purchase the front end offer and hopefully the order bump, we offer our monthly membership. And then after the monthly, we offer the yearly. And if they don't take it, we offer a downsell, right? And so those multiple offers in the funnel, they allow us to have a higher average order value so we can afford to spend more money on ads. So you always need to look at your full funnel economics to say, what's my goal cost per acquisition? And your goal cost per acquisition or cost per result, which is the same in this case with the ads, will be determined by your ultimate customer lifetime value. Right? So how much does a person on average spend over the lifespan of how long they're a customer? And in our case, that's quite a bit. So what we have as a rule of thumb is we never want to spend more than 1/3 of the average customer lifetime value to acquire a customer. And that in itself already is way more aggressive than how we're actually spending. Because of the average order value, we are always breaking even on the front end. So we're actually in the profits from the second month of somebody staying in our membership, right? But if you are in that beginning, or you are at a phase where you prioritize rapid growth, you could go this aggressive. We have kind of the most conservative approach because we're only spending so much that we are always breaking even in the first month so we can grow from cash flow directly. That's a very conservative way of growing, and we could grow faster if we would have a 3 months break-even goal, right? So we're breaking even in the third month of the customer. And then if we would want to go much more aggressive, we would spend up to 1/3 of the customer lifetime value. That means that you also have to know your customer lifetime value. So it's something that you can become more aggressive over time. But even in the beginning, I would say while you are validating your offer and you're building your audience, you know that you're investing in this. And eventually, if you're not pivoting into something else again, you will be able to make this money back. And a great example for this is my email list. Currently have close to 70,000 people on my email list. And in the first year, I would invest in growing it. And I would be upset because I was like, oh, everybody tells you the money is in the list. There's literally no money in my list. Over the years, there has been so much money in my list, like so much more than in any other part of my business, because the list compounds. If you nurture and you keep connecting, you can keep asking your list. And the amount of, like I had multiple multi-six-figure launches just to my list. When we were playing the school games, the majority of our sales were coming from our email list, and we were able to go from 0 to 82,000 in monthly recurring revenue within a month from that list. And we have launched to that list multiple times since, right? So you eventually just have to see it through in the beginning to escape the catch 2022, but it will only be true if you don't pivot niche and offer and personal brand completely again, because then if you collect it but you just let it sit there, it will never get to this point of nurture where you have these disproportionate returns from your email list, right? And for me, it took over a year for it to start. Then it started to go crazy and really compound over time as my offers also started to get better, because I was much more becoming that person. I was creating much better products and solutions, and I was getting better at communicating them. Okay, so that's for the economics. You really need to think full funnel there. And what I try to focus on is I try to see if the front end offer works first, right? So I like to optimize my funnels front to back. And that starts with looking at the ad. I look at the CTR all to say how scroll stopping is my creative. So ideally, I like it to have it above 4% at these low rates of spend. My link click-through rate, ideally I like to have it above 1.5% at this low spend. That indicates how good my offer and my copy are, because it is a very simple, straight to the point offer and copy, right? It more tells me about the offer than my actual copy, because I always use the same kind of template. Then I look at my cost per click, which basically, if those two KPIs are right, it's only influenced by the CPM, so the cost per mil, how much Facebook is charging me to show my ad to 1,000 people. And so that will give me my cost per click. And if I have a cost per click, for example, below $3 for a $9 offer, I typically will be able to get a cost per acquisition that is within the realm of what I can do with adding more products in the funnel, right? So I'm first just looking for those front end offer economics, right? And then I'm like, okay, is it, for a $9 offer, is it around a cost per acquisition of $20 to $24? Okay, I can make that work, right? So I'm not looking, it has to be as low as 9 or even below. If you have that, you have a little unicorn, and you need to tell nobody about it and lean in as hard as you can for as long as you can. Typically, like within this range, it's a workable offer and it can go a long way. Obviously, I'll keep trying to aim for that unicorn, but for me, it's 1 out of every 5 offers, and it takes me a while to create these offers, right? So I also will work with something as soon as it works. So I have always something going and growing for my business, but I also will keep my eyes on the price and say, okay, I know that there's a better offer that I can scale even further with that. First that, and then see, okay, what can I do with annual offers if you're on Skool? What can I do with community upsells? You can add paid courses, right? You can add one-to-one, different support options. You can be an affiliate for other groups in your group. I think it's massively underrated, being an affiliate for Skool and for other groups. This has become a significant chunk for me. So here you can see my lifetime earnings with affiliates are $57,000. And I'm at around $8,000 per month. Now, obviously, my communities make a lot more. So just my biggest one, Grow with Evelyn, is making around $50,000 a month, right? So, but still, it's not insignificant, and it's another way for you to add customer lifetime value and make the economics work in your favor. And if you have a funnel, you can do up to 2 order bumps. You can upsell into a monthly recurring revenue offer, right? Or into a paid call from where you can sell into a higher ticket offer. You can upsell into the annual of that continuity. You can downsell into something else, right? So I have one lady in my mastermind, and she has mastered this. Like, she gets from a low ticket funnel, because she has so many ups and downsells, an average order value out of $300. And I think it's incredible. Now, for me, in order to get to this point, I actually have to do a lot of offer building work first, right? Getting back to the offer is needed to get us to the heartbeat, but then also to make the economics of the ad work. And I think that's just one thing that so many people overlook with running ads. They think it's about the ads, when it rather is about the initial offer, and then the economics, and then all of the other offers that need to be plugged into the ecosystem. And similar when you have a call funnel, right? If you have a tripwire on that book a call funnel, when you have effective downsells, when you have offers that will reward people for showing up to the calls, right? Then your funnel economics, your ad economics will look fundamentally different, and you'll be able to go much further with your offer, whether it's mediocre and that's why we need it, or it's really good and we just can scale to insane heights with your ads. So funnel economics, extremely important. One thing I look so forward to is Alex Hormozzi's money models. I think his book launches on the 16th of August, and I have already asked my dad if he can watch my son on that day, because I will be on it, because I know that this has made the biggest difference in my business, and I also know I still have some holes. So I'm so excited to see how it plays out, and I'm also excited that they're building more of these things into Skool. All right, the fourth thing you need is new ads, right? So once we have an offer that gives us a heartbeat, because we know how the basics of setting it up, right? And we are able to create a basic creative, meaning the visual or the loom with the short copy that I showed you, and we have that heartbeat, we need new ads. The only way for us to scale is to test new ads. And there are two ways in which you can test new ads. Either with the same setup as you got your heartbeat, right? Then you just need to add a budget for testing. Or you do it in the harder way that I like to do, but where you don't waste budget on testing, which is you use the same setup, but instead of using the standard highest amount of results for that budget bidding strategy, you use a target cost bidding strategy. So let's say in my case, I know that my target is $20, right? Because that's my average order value, and I'm okay going a little over. I will set the campaign budget a lot higher, something like $5,000 a day, which is crazy, right? And you have to be really careful and viewing if Facebook is not overspending, because sometimes it has happened to me that Facebook just starts spending and it does not look at the target cost, right? And then you just quickly need to turn it off. So I keep an eye on them every single day, because, it has happened 2 or 3 times to me, which is not much in the amount of campaigns that I've set up like this. But it is still scary to think that can happen. Like, you set up a campaign, you go on a call for an hour and you go back and it's spent like $700 and you're like, there's no purchase, right? So when you launch it, super close eye, keep refreshing Ads Manager so that there's no bug in Facebook that makes that happen. And then you'll see that what is more, and then on the ad set, you set your target cost. For me, it is $20 then, for example, in this case. And then you will see that what is happening is very likely that campaign is not spending anything at all. So you put all of your best ads in that campaign and you keep adding 1 or 2 new ads per day until that bad boy starts spending. And that can be very challenging because sometimes you have to go 3-4 weeks with adding new ads daily and it does not spend. But a really beautiful thing about this is that your skill set as an ad creator will sharpen. You'll come up with so many new image concepts, with so many new video ads that you didn't know you have in you. And it also helps you to learn about your own offer, because every ad that you create, you'll find a new angle into it. You have a new aha moment, you can shape it, and eventually something will start to generate spend. Not even sales, it will just start to spend and maybe get 1 or 2 sales. Then you know you have a really strong creative and you can put it into either your regular campaign that just goes for highest spend and you'll see it's going to be a really good performer. Or, once you are at that stage where you really want to spend $5,000, $10,000, $15,000 a day, I like to only work with those target cost campaigns, right? Because while it requires me to create a large amount of creative, it's also a very predictable way of scaling them. Now, the alternative to that, and what you mostly see, is that people just go with the standard bidding strategy of highest volume. Then you can absolutely do this with the creatives you find in the target cost campaign. Or you also say, I don't want to produce so much creative, so I just will test with the highest volume spend. The only risk of that is that you will think you have found a winner when you just had something that could harvest low-hanging fruit for a while. So while it's more challenging and more work in the beginning, it will get you much further long term, right? And the other one gives you more quicker wins, if that makes sense. But you might never found that really scalable creative. And I mean, it makes a world of a difference if you have a really scalable creative that can carry $1,000, $2,000, $3,000 of spend a day at target cost. That's a life and business changer, right? So I think it is worth doing that also because you'll become so much better at producing creatives, and you'll become so much more articulate if you create a lot of video, right? And so I think it's also good for your skill set. But again, you have to know where you are in your business and if you can make room for this. I believe it's one of the best places to spend your time, right? To try to find new creatives. One thing that I see that kind of breaks my heart is people find product to market fit with their offer. They can scale a funnel to $300-$500 a day, and then they just let it run and simmer right there. And then it's like, oh, I don't know why I can't scale it anymore, or this funnel broke now. And it's like, you have not for the last few months put any effort into finding new creatives. So now once your funnel is declining, and it's like a product life cycle, right? It's like, you've introduced it, it worked really well. In the growth phase where you could have had a very different curve, you did not use different creatives, so you didn't fully capitalize on it. Now you've kind of reached maturity in the market and for your offer. And now we need to see, can new creatives revive it, or are we on a downturn? But the crazy thing is, like, the downturn with these things is relatively radically, right? So you probably have 1 or 2 months left before it's not profitable at all anymore. And that's not a good place to create ads from. So I would really wish for everybody who is like, after, I have my heartbeat, right? I want people to go into finding many ads so they can ride this wave a lot longer. And while they're testing many ads, they might even find a new offer idea, right? Because of the way that they're talking about ads. And then you will see like, oh, I wish I could talk about my offer like this, but it's just not built like that. Well, maybe I need to build something that actually solves this problem, because that's definitely a problem to be had, right? So I'd much rather have you pedaling while your bike is going downhill, rather than you pedaling and being anxious while you're getting to the uphill path. One thing that I want to say in new ads is we never know what works. Like, I've been doing this for so long now, and yes, you develop a certain kind of pattern recognition, right? So for example, I know that mock-up ads tend to work. I know certain lifestyle graphic, like images, tend to work. I know that, certain types of podcast clips tend to work, right? Or talking head tends to work. But whenever I'm testing new ads, I have like a 50-50 hit or miss. I'm like, this is such a good ad, it's going to kill it. And then it's like, oh no, nobody cares. Or it's like, I'm not even sure if I should launch this. And then it's like, oh, this is my winning ad. Cool. So even after all of these years, I can never tell. So the more you can test, the more opportunities you can find. For me, it's like playing a lottery that has super, super good odds for me, right? So for me, it's definitely worth to keep playing it. And it's also very, very much fun if you do it like that. All right, so that's new ads. Fifth, last but not least, mindset. This is your relationship with advertisement will determine your success, right? So if you're expecting profits from day one, you very likely don't have the mindset that it takes to become a successful advertiser. Now, I want to tell you how I got into advertising. I was working for a jewelry company as a product. I made product descriptions. And when they split up from their marketing agency, I had the opportunity to contribute more to the marketing. Around that time, Facebook became a thing in Austria, and Facebook ads became a thing. And so I saw my bosses allocating budget to Facebook ads like it's the most normal thing in the world, and being open to experience with it and lose money with it to explore the opportunity. So I think I was led into this whole world from a very healthy mindset of every business that wants to grow needs to have a marketing budget. And within every marketing budget, there's a certain budget on us just testing opportunities, right? So for me, that was not something dumb or risky to do. It was something that very successful people did. So I was like, that seems to make sense for me. And then obviously I learned on other people's money, and I learned what they valued. They valued insight and progress, right? And making a good hypothesis based on the data that we had. They were not like hysterical, like day traders. It's like, oh, how much did we make today and how much did we lose? No, they were like, we're exploring this opportunity. We are ready to invest and potentially lose some of that budget. And when you're helping out with this, your role is to spend our money wisely, right? And tell us what you do and why you're doing it. And all that we want to see is insight and progress. So for them, it was also, for example, really important to know like, hey, which ad performs, just so that they could have an early idea of, should we restock this type of earring for the season? So that in itself was already super valuable information. Oh, this is working well as an ad. This gives us an idea if we should restock this right now, right? So they would very much come from that angle of, how cool is it that we can get data from the market back so quickly? And I was so impressed with that view, right? And so for me, it's also, I'm looking at ads as such an opportunity, because I'm like, how cool is it that I can get feedback on my offer from the market so quickly? Like, holy cow, I will know within 48 hours if I'm on the right track with this and should double down on it, or if I need to take a different direction. That saves me years, right? And so for me, that's the coolest opportunity, that I can force my way into market feedback. How cool is that? And I think that that's like the number one thing, or the first step in advertising, is to say, I am investing in getting data from the market, so I am not running for months or even years blindly in the wrong direction, right? So, or I give up because I don't get any feedback at all. I think one of the hardest things for people as well, which is why I made that experience with the community, experience worker bootcamp, where I showed how I'm building the community. I think most people don't understand how long it takes to get feedback, right? So when I had 1,000 people in my initial community, right, in my initial Facebook group, when I started my whole personal brand, I had maybe 5 or 10 people that would engage, right? But that made it fairly engaged. And I started that group and I turned it paid at around 500 people. At around 370, it started to be somewhat alive. And then at around 500 people, it started to be more alive, but it's still not like buzzing, right? And so also with an email list, right? I had people think, oh, I should have gotten great results from my launch to my email list with 1,000 people. It's just way too little people, right? And it's way too early in the relationship with them to see on average, right? So there's always the outliners. People can have a very targeted, very small audience and it can work, but on average, it takes longer to get that feedback. One example is Ben, my editor, who I found on his first YouTube video that he made, and it was because it was that school context and that video editing context, and everything was kind of tailored to me. I saw that video and I reached out to him and I was like, I want to give you a chance. I like how you think, right? So obviously there's also this, you are hyper specific with your niche. You're really talking about the right problem, and then you find a customer early, right? Or a handful of customers early. That is always there. But I want to say, for example, for Ben, he was already hanging out in the school community. He was building his YouTube channel and editing for years, right? So it's like there also has been all of that time that he spent in the market to be able to make that video in this way too, right? So it is very hard for the beginner to understand how long it will take them to get feedback. And just because of the sheer lack of feedback, they're like, I must be on the wrong path because it is silent, so I must choose another path. And then the next path is also silent for very, very long. Much longer than you think it's reasonable. And then you're like, oh shoot, I'm on the wrong path again. But the truth is that you've probably been on the right path, but you just didn't have the feedback. And I think that's the magic of ads, is that, hey, you're getting feedback. You're getting people on your email list. You're getting sales, right? You're getting people clicking. There is something, there's a signal that we can follow. Right? So it's like we are in the dark, but we're hearing a sound and we can walk towards that. And I think that's the real power of using ads so early, is getting that data, getting that feedback, and not being completely left alone in the void and just making one random pivot after another. Now, the other thing with ads, other than, it's an investment in the data, is that it is also an investment in your actual growth, right? Ads will make you grow on so many levels. You have to work through your money beliefs. You have to work through your emotional regulation. It's very challenging, like still for me, to spend that money and watch it and not make an impulsive decision. By the way, when you're optimizing ads, you can go and you can search on YouTube how to test ads, and you'll find 20 different amazing videos that are all right. Same for how to scale your ads. You'll find not even 20, like hundreds of videos that have similar or wildly different approaches, and all of them are right, because the truth is that you have to find what works for you and the ad account, and then you just have to stick with it, right? So it's like one method, pick it, stick with it, and then execute it consistently. And that's where the emotional regulation comes in. It's like, I will do the same thing over and over again if the data tells me that, and I will still do it even if I desperately believe in this offer, right? Or even if I love this ad and I think it should be out there more, even if I get super tired from launching the 40th ad that does not convert. And that's where all of the emotional regulation comes in, and why the ads are so helpful for you. The ads are also really helpful for your personal growth because they're a mirror. They pretty clearly show you how well your offer is crafted towards a cold market, right? So it can be a bit, gutting to see like, oh, I actually don't have something everybody wants, right? And that can be at all stages, whether you sold well organically, right? And some people sold well organically with methods that they now wouldn't want to do anymore because maybe, they talked too much about income, or, they didn't know, but they actually made promises or something like that. And that's why they sold well organically. And then they're like starting to realize, oh, I actually want to do this properly. And they come in and they want to do it properly. And then they kind of get the cold shoulder from the market, which, it's hard to stomach. Same like for a beginner, you might have spent, weeks, months building your school community. And now you're like, oh, I'm putting it out there. There's a void. So it can be hard to stomach that, but it's also really good to see where you actually stand with things. And so I think it's one of the best ways to evolve yourself as a person. And then also what comes with the ads, I think what is the right mindset is just that big picture on long-term effect on your overall business growth, right? So the ads force you to be more truthful to yourself, about your product quality, about your offers, right? They will force you to become a much better communicator, be more efficient in your communication, be better in persuasion, right? Be a better communicator on video or in your written text. So they will shape you like that. Then that understanding that you will never make the ads work if you don't make all other parts of the business work, right? And it goes from the offer and the product development itself to the average order value you can add in your funnel. So it's the completeness of your offer suite, to the customer lifetime value, your delivery, your fulfillment, how satisfied customers are, how much you're living up to that promise that you set, because the customer lifetime value is such a big factor, and that feedback from your customers under your ads, or even ads that you run with your customer experience, which are some of the best ads that you can ever run, right? All of it plays together. So I think in a very real sense, ads are a mechanism to pull all of the strings in your business straight if you can lean in and commit long-term enough to view them like that. All right, so I think that's all I got for you today. I hope that this was insightful and helpful, and that you now have a bigger picture understanding of what it takes to run profitable ads. Thank you.